7:05, and we are here. We did have an anticipated executive session, so we needed powder and rose moment. We have actually, we're going to sort of start this like a regular board meeting. We're technically starting because we're executive, and then this is just a lot of different information, too much for anyone who really wants to know how this works. Maybe some people are really interrogatory, but we're going to have a item 1.4 is the budget hearing. It's a forum, and we're going to do a budget presentation, and then members of the public who have things they want to talk about the budget are welcome to come and address the board. And that is not the board meeting. It's not the opportunity for the public to be heard. It's the budget hearing. So then we'll move into for the good of the board discussion, and opportunity for the public to be heard. So this is like this very convoluted way of saying we're going to just go through the agenda, but that's a budget hearing. 1.4. Totally different thing than a normal meeting. It's very exciting. So it's like multiple meetings. With that, we are moving to item 1.2, the pledge of allegiance. There is a flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a roll call to take right now. Unfortunately, Robin is not able to be here tonight, and with that, we are all, the rest of us are here, including our student board member who has one more meeting after today, and then he'll come and visit, right?
Yeah, every meeting I'll be here.
Anyway, with that, we move to the good of the order, the board discussion item 1.5. Do the members of the board have anything for the good of the order? No, we're going to 1.4 for the budget hearing. Oh, you thought we were done already with that. No, let's have a budget hearing.
All right.
Totally different meeting.
So Jim and I are going to present the budget. This is the same budget that we've been presenting basically for the last 2 times. So there's been no changes or conversations with it, but it does give an opportunity for a conversation for us with any concerns or anything that anyone wants to mention regarding the budget. As you know, it's a little late in the budget vote season. May 21st is later than usual. But everything that we've been talking about really is about pervading sustainability for our district and opportunities for our students. And we've been saying it's sustainability. It's making sure whatever we put in, we don't cut, right? And making sure that, we put it and we keep people in program. Like that's one of the number one things that we've been doing, people in program across the board. So we're adjusting to enrollment trends and realities when they happen. We're limiting the impact on total taxpayers. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. And we're always trying to do a fiscally sound budget.
So fiscally sound budget is what we've defined as in a normal year, you spend about 97.5% of the budget. In a bad year, you spend closer to 100. Because we have a hard cap, we want to set it a little below for a normal year. If we have a good year, it might be 95%. So that's the way we work about it. We say, okay, we want our revenues to match what we think our actual expenses will be, but there's this little buffer zone on top, 2.5%. And that's how we approach it. The 2 dates that are left are tonight's budget hearing and the vote next Tuesday between 2:30 and 9 in the middle school foyer. We maintain funds needed for maintenance projects for deferred maintenance that we've had up to now. We're doing internal camera systems here at the middle school, high school during this upcoming summer. And we have a $100,000 project that's focused on the secondary campus for next year included in the budget. We continue the funds for professional development for the Wonders program, the reading program that we just put in place at the elementary, so that we can make sure that it's used to its full potential.
Jim, I'm going to take this one.
Yep.
So the potential staffing increases. This was one that was on there ever since we started it. So in the conversations about what we're going to put in the budget and everything, that bullet's been there and hasn't moved. So the potential staffing increases, even though some of the things we're doing now don't impact our enrollment, and it's not due to enrollment concerns, it's due to other concerns. So like either safety or facilities of plant, or the AIS, which is an academic instructional component. So we're still addressing the situations that are coming up, but if it's when we say for enrollment in district population, we're talking about the district population that we currently have, not for an expansive district population. Does that answer that?
Yes, it does.
So we have increased equipment expenditure lines because there's, I guess I'll call it a quirk in the comptroller's approach to things, where basically equipment has to be budgeted for and it has to be in that specific line, and it cannot be transferred anywhere else. Well, it can be transferred out. Nothing can be transferred into an equipment. So whatever equipment you believe you're going to need and some emergency money for things that always fail have to be in the budget to start with. And that's what we've worked towards over the past few years.
Okay, so the current budget maintains all currently funded positions. It adds a third day of our service of BOCES communication. That has been an amazing addition to the district, and 2 days really is not enough. So 3 days is going to put us to where we need to be and actually get a lot more done. Staffing impact, we are looking at the pilot program for physical instructional environment. That is 3 classrooms that we're able to be able to do. So that's about $15,000 to $20,000 per classroom in that pilot instruction. So we're able to get those through along with PD to make sure that they're getting the support that they need as they're moving forward with the pilot program. In lieu of the SRO, we are doing the security hall monitor for secondary campus and also part-time AIS person at the elementary school. Any questions?
Vehicle proposition is 2 large 72-passenger diesel or internal combustion engine school buses. State contract is $350,000 with borrowing costs. They're aided over 5 years of a transportation aid ratio, which is roughly 2/3.
So as we discussed before, I just mentioned again, we have to discuss the electric buses multiple times. We're doing a nice service study and grant that is our electrification bus study. As we noted in the conversations that we had, the reason why we went with the diesel is because after 2027, we're not going to be able to buy any more diesel. So we want to have our fleet up to the point where we can, so that way when we do have to go over, we can at least guarantee some of the years out that we have functioning buses that will get us our long-term until the electronics aspect of electric buses meets the needs of where they're going to be.
When you say long-term, you mean like long distance?
Yes, and long-term by being 10 to 12 years as well, because what is it? It's 8 to 10 years right now for a bus.
So the battery is covered for 8 years. The aid is over 12 years for an electric bus. So it's
And a diesel bus is 8 years term, correct?
we generally keep them between 10 and 11 here, and
Aid purposes is,
aid purposes is 5.
oh, fine. Yeah.
And our transportation facility is being built to accommodate electric buses, and there's gonna be enough space, so that there's some discussion about having needing space between buses, electric buses that's greater than the space between.
I'm not sure I can answer that fully.
Okay.
I know we have enough spaces for all the buses. I'm not sure about the spacing between them. So that would be more of an architect engineer question. So.
I can ask that question from the engineer.
What battery fires are.
Yeah, we won't have to.
Okay, so the tax cap, I've gone through this multiple times, but basically there are a number of steps to use to calculate what the maximum tax cap amount is. And the 2% is included only as one small portion, as you see in the second line there, the CPI factor of 1.02. When we apply the initial factors, the increase is 2.63%. We have capital levy exclusions, which means the difference between the aid we get and the amount we spend on debt service. That's little over $200,000 this year. There's an ERS rate going up more than 2%, the rate itself, so that's an increase as well that's allowable. So the tax levy limit is $21,113 for 3.75%, which has been put in the proposed budget. Doing an estimate, we receive our initial tax rolls May 1st every year. So we can do a rough estimate based on the information we have now. It is just an estimate. Those numbers can change with the final numbers on July 1. The equalization rates themselves can change as well. They say final, but if something shifts significantly, they could still change. So right now, looking at the full value tax rate per 1,000, it would go down from the current year of 1537 to 1497. That's a reduction of 2.6% based on the growth in the total value of the district. Rates per 1,000 assessed, which is what most people think of because they know their assessment and they know the rate per. In Bern, it's going up by a little under 1%. In Guilderland, a little under 1%. These are estimates again. New Scotland is 2.96%. That difference between the three towns is due to changes in equalization rate, which we show below. The Bern and Guilderland are going down roughly 3.5% on their equalization rate, which means the value is increased by that amount. New Scotland is decreasing by 5.41%, so they're going to bear a slightly larger burden than the other.
However, as part of the process of bidding, they did out all of the prices of moving the dirt, moving everything, so they've already got that dirt accounted for. We are taking a large amount of that dirt though, and Neil and the crew are going to be getting excavators and different things, and they are going to be working on the field over at the satellite field. So that one softball field that we tried to build that has full of rocks, they're going to take the best topsoil, they're going to level that out, they're going to start leveling out some of the other fields as well. So they're using that topsoil to the best of our ability. We did explore moving out a little bit more of the satellite field and seeing if we can take more, and we did a study. There's a lot of wetlands, and we wouldn't encroach on the wetlands, which is a big no-no, so we were kind of stuck with what we can do. And I know you have questions.
I have bit my tongue so hard.
So the Possible Elementary School. So we've talked about this multiple times that we want to do the site work at the elementary school because if we start the site work next year and we're only giving it a year and a half to do it, it's a lot of work. It probably isn't going to get done in the time frame that we want it to get done. So we've been wanting to break up that two components. So a large amount of site work at the elementary school, and site work is all outside. So site meaning outside stuff. And that's going to be like asphalt, the drainage, some sidewalks, basically the whole area is getting ripped up and fixed and regraded and everything else.
That's in front of the current transportation.
Actually it's everything but in front of it. So everything but in front of the building would be taken care of. The side of the buildings, well, up to where the playground starts, that would get taken care of, and then all around the back of it. Where the major amount of the site work and the transport, like the elementary facility getting turned into a cafeteria, and where they're going to be doing a large amount of like re-site work, that would be at the end. So the problem is that we're still at CDEP, and we're waiting on that approval to come through because time frame's waiting, and we're still trying to compile the data of what it will look like. So we're trying to work as quick as we can, but we're a little bit handcuffed in getting this work done. So we might have to delay that, which I don't want to do. But I am putting it out there that might be a problem that we're addressing and trying to figure out. So we might not get a July 1st start, we might be a July 16th start. But the goal is still to get that, especially the drainage areas over in the elementary school taken care of.
As far as the approvals, we need state ed, and
we have everything else is all good. We're just waiting for the final approval through state ed. So the project manager, right, Jim? That's the last one.
That's the one that's waiting.
So we went through the whole processes that we can there. It's just that last stamp of approval. So hopefully we'll get there soon. All right. So other things that are happening with construction, because we didn't have a facilities committee, right? I want to also update some of these things. The energy performance contract. What's that? We didn't have the meeting.
Yes. Sorry.
The energy performance contract, the EPC, you'll hear everybody say that over and over again. Energy performance contract. That is also at state ed. We're waiting for that to get done. That work will get started in the summer. That we already have bids. The person who's doing the project for us, they are the vendor. So it's Stanford. So they are the vendor. So as soon as we're approved, we can get the schedule, get things ordered, and get started. The biggest thing that we're working on is Desert Air. Desert Air is a heating and cooling component of the pool that we know is the biggest part of the EPC. We're hoping to get that done as quick, and then everything's going LED in the buildings in high school. So that's in elementary school is going to be part of the project more. High school, we're gonna try to get done this summer and see if we can get that all taken care of very quickly. Along with that happening in the high school and middle school this year, cameras. So we talked about the cameras, they're in the budget for this year. We purchased those cameras, we've got the bid for them, and now they're gonna be put in over the summer. So we're getting all brand new cameras throughout the whole secondary complex inside the building. So outside, we have state-of-the-art camera system. Inside now, we'll have a state-of-the-art camera system as well. So that will be there. That's gonna be a lot of work as well happening in the building. And on top of that, in the building this year, the secure vestibule. That's been approved, that's been bid out, and we actually had our first site meeting on that. The middle school, the high school is getting an area where the doors are actually getting elongated out. So where the window currently is, as we talked about, there's going to be a new doorway put in right there. That will be secured very similar to the middle school. So that way people got an area to go in, limiting the ability for everybody to get in. At the same time, we are doing an opportunity to lighten that area up. So there's new ceilings and new lighting configuration as well. So it's getting a little bit of a facelift, but not a full one. They did take out the benches that were around it. We talked about that. They were around the bell. They were breaking, splintering, constant issues. So those were removed. And I know that some board members did really want to put plants inside the planters. You can't. They completely cemented them. But Neil is looking at ways to brighten that up and still kind of pretty that area up as well. In order to get rid of that kind of display, we'd have to completely rip it out and concrete it and move it forward.
So that's not where we're going?
That's not where we're going. We don't have the funds for
Not
that.
today.
So again, all the funds that we are utilizing, we're using money for the capital project that was left over. We're using funds from our Smart Schools bond. And anything else, Jim?
No, that's it.
And that's it. So these are funds that we've had that were already used, so it's no expense that's already been put out. So we're just maximizing what we had to be able to get the work done in the district. So unfortunately, we have a finite amount of money that we could use, and that wasn't part of it.
Start looking for grants.
All right. So
Beautification.
I just wanted, before I go on to the Spirit Rock discussion that we talked about at the facilities committee, I do want to talk about the update for the student board member. The page has been amazing through this whole time. Mr. Dool, the high school principal, he sent out an email to all of the students who were eligible for applying for this position. So that, I believe, was almost over 40 people that were eligible. He sent it out to every single student, gave them an opportunity, told them exactly what was needed to do. He got 3 applications back. They're doing interviews through those. I've asked for the one person to take the only building best could represent the high school and, who they would want to recommend to me, so that I can interview and recommend to the board. So they are going to finalize that in May, and that means in the next couple of weeks, I should have the next person who I can bring to the board, and that's in June.
They can shadow.
And they can shadow Paige, because that was the one thing Paige said that she needed to have done. So. And all right, and so the last one that we talked about at facilities committee, the Voorheesville PTA thought of an idea, and we talked about facilities, and I shared the original email that came out where it's a spirit rock. And I know, Tricia, you actually have a spirit rock at your school district you were talking about.
Well,
Can you talk about
we
what
had
it
one at
is?
the rivals.
At the rivals, yeah.
So
What the rivals?
Loversville.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you'd go and paint it when it was a big sports night. Yeah. They would paint it all beautiful, and then you'd sneak in at like 3 a.m.
So there was a rock that's like that pride rock that's there. So the PTA pride rock, the idea is that there would be a rock, I believe, on both campuses. I'm not saying rock, but it's probably like a larger boulder. Again, these were just in the conversation phase. This is something that we're going to fully discuss and move forward with in facilities. And what would happen is it'd be actually a fundraising opportunity for the PTA. So they would create a structure. We would be very clear on the facilities committee component of that, what it's going to look like, and have all the conversations. But it would be an opportunity for people to be able to rent those properties, rent that rock, be able to paint the rock, and be able to support students or staff or however they so wish to. Thoughts? Did I miss anything from facility when we talked about it?
I think we just went around the room and kind of talked about some questions that we may have, or like how do you manage the rental of the rock? What if someone has their way with the rock without a rental?
And I think the bigger conversation we had was, is a permanent fundraising fixture something that you want me to even explore,
Right.
to look at all that stuff. Because first off, it's legal.
Okay.
We do fundraising,
It's a donation.
yeah, it's a donation. So that is it is illegal, but there's a lot of work that will go into those conversations. So I think the first conversation is it something that the board wants me to continue to have a conversation on or look forward into, or do you have concerns that we can go back to the PTA and then and move forward on that?
So I have a question for the districts that have a spirit rock.
Yes.
Is it sustainable? Like, have they had it and it functions in the manner that's intended for in perpetuity?
So I believe from the one information that is there, I can say yes, but we haven't done enough research to give you a definitive answer of yes, this is working perfectly. That would have to be some of the work we've looked into.
I mean, it sounds like it takes a lot of work to have this serve its intended purpose.
Well, I mean, the one it was not a fundraiser.
Yeah.
It was just a
Statute of
rock.
limitations is run.
Yeah.
It's like stealing a mascot.
And it actually was pretty fun. It was a lot of spirit fun, but I don't know how you manage it without it being a fundraiser, but I think some research has been done.
Yeah, they have a listing of ideas and I have a full
I think-
report that was brought back with the thought process that they already have.
And I think that you had other districts that do it that way, so I guess there are model districts who do that.
I do not know of districts around. I haven't done enough to be able to ask. I'm not sure if we even have gone, no, we have not gone that far yet to even ask other districts if they're doing that or what they're doing. So this was kind of the first kind of push to say, is it something that we want to look into? And, put more time into it.
I think it's a cool idea.
Fun idea.
It is fun. It's hard to raise money, so, something different. Seems hard to manage now.
Yeah, the management part I'm curious about because I feel like if it's a day by day type of thing or a weekend, if it's getting repainted multiple times a week, then you're gonna have multiple coats of paint and then how does that come off? And
Oh, it doesn't come off.
Oh, layers.
It
Oh,
just
layers.
gets bigger.
so it
Yeah.
just, the rock becomes a boulder the
Bigger
size of a
rock.
small boulder.
Yeah.
And,
So it seems like this is something that you're interested in moving forward, having further conversations and doing some research on.
Yeah, I would like-
Yeah. I was just saying we found any spirit rock sized rocks while digging.
We have not. That was one of the biggest things. I'm like, we could find a boulder out there, but we have not.
But a boulder the size of a small boulder.
Yeah, I just have questions about like who owns the rock? What happens?
No, it's a good question.
What happens like if someone decides they've had enough of the rock? Like how does
Do we take the rock and just paint it?
right, like
ourselves?
does the school own the rock? Can we just move it into the
Treasurer's reports. 5.1. All of that. Questions, comments? Move it.
I'll move it.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have 5.2, we have a number of personnel items. Here, we'd like to just appreciate the years of service by Lisa DeAngelis and potentially, well, we're set to welcome a new high school principal, Ms. Cardella. If we have any other questions or comments, otherwise, would someone like to move this?
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Officially welcome.
Teeth. Technically, I started to see,
Officially, but everything's great. With that, we move to item 5.3, the CIC recommendations. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We have 5.4, the BOCES sub list. Questions or comments, thoughts? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have bids for produce. Any questions? All right. Were there more than one?
Yes, there were two, as there usually are.
No, I didn't tell them that. You already did.
I know, so I told them that you always ask, so he said you would.
Two?
Fantastic. All right, with that, are there any other questions?
I'll move it.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move to item 5.6, the UPK contract with CTK, Chris King. Any questions or comments?
Frank, was that, there was, did I read correctly, there's 28 spots?
Yeah, so I actually was looking at which I wanted to do one of those two. So just really quick, even though Jim said we get all of the amazing funds, right, regarding UPK, we actually can't spend it unless we have a CDO or we're utilizing district. It's $5,400 per student. That's what it is. So, and they have not increased it. It's 54.
It's 54.
Yep, it's 54. There was a lot of push and a lot of lobbying this year by superintendents and other groups to be able to ask them to increase those numbers or look at the model of how schools are getting it because schools aren't utilizing all the funds. But that was not changing. So it's $5,400. We have the one slot. It's 20. I don't have it in front of me. It's 22 students, and then it's 6 students going into what they call the model classroom. It's an integrated special education classroom. They're utilizing it's a partnership with the Center for Disability that they send students in there because that's a certified preschool education program. And then it's an integrated classroom where regular education students are integrated into the classroom. So it supports, it does a lot with students and integration. There's a huge support about models of integration in schools. And it also acts as a model student for the other students in the classroom. So that's how we're able to get 28 students in the room.
Is that an increase in the number, or is that the same number, right?
It's a little bit more than what we had last year. They pushed us off into other classrooms that other people were. We're not doing that again. It's either our classroom or an integrated classroom, but we're not doing this kind of mixture in. It's just there's a little bit too much specifics that we need to make sure that we have control with that. They are looking at a possibility of expanding eventually the program, but that's in the works and still have conversation for Tim.
Is our demand greater than 28?
I don't know that answer at the moment because I haven't seen the request yet. And in the past, we're right
Just for
around
next
there.
year.
Yeah, this past year, we're right in where those areas are. So we run about 22, 28, and then after everything's said and done, because again, some people get it, but then they realize they can't do it or the time frame doesn't work for them. So, maybe they back out for some reason. So there's always a little bit of a wait list, but it seems like most of the people who want the program get the program by the end of the time frame.
I had forwarded to you that article that was in the Times Union today, which was, I thought, pretty good, positive article, and I felt like we were ahead of the curve on that one. But there was a reference to TLS,
Yeah, so that's
and you know them.
Yeah.
And my grandkids went there for a while. Very positive experience. Are they within our community and possibly for a future time?
so TSL organization is they did aftercare and before care. They never did preschool education.
Right.
So that was the focus of it. That organization is changing their model. And so they have to have space. So either that space is going to be within a district or that space has to be within the area or boundaries of a district. We do not have space. If they're going to rent space and people are going to go out when we do our FP, it's open everywhere. I mean, we could have 2 or 3 different places that want to do our program, and we could do that. I mean, some larger schools have 4 or 5 different site locations for their UPK program. It really depends on that. So we're doing an extension of our RFP next year. We just said every 2 years we'll go out for another RFP, so we'll go out again. Price can come back, another school can come back, TSL can come back. So those could work or not work. It all depends on how you come
So
up.
we're not confined to just one provider.
This year we are because that was the RFP.
I
we're just
understand.
extending. In future years, every 2 years, we want to always go out with the RFP again if it's going to continue, just to see what programs are out there.
Thank
Again, I think another preschool is coming in or some daycare programs coming into the new area by, right? Or by Fred's, right?
I thought so.
It looks like it's some type of daycare program. I don't know.
They have signs up.
Yeah, that's all.
I thought I
There's a
had
playground
heard
right
that
there.
there was a concern about parking, but maybe it got resolved. I don't know.
Did I answer those questions?
Yes.
Because I did want to
Yes.
make sure I talked about the UPK.
You did. Thank you.
Thank you.
If everyone's good with it, someone can move it. Second, all in favor? Aye. 5.7, the Whole Summer Writers Institute. Any questions? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move to old business. We did not, the audit committee.
No, we'll meet again in June before our regular meeting.
Okay. Curriculum committee, Robin is not here. Anyone else?
Don't look at me.
I think we have a meeting
Yeah,
scheduled for next week.
I think we didn't meet. We already did.
Yeah, we pushed our meeting out and then our meeting is scheduled for we're scheduled for the 21st.
Okay, and then, policy facilities did not meet, is that true?
We did.
Yes, we did. We could have met twice, I guess. And so like I said, we didn't meet then.
Right.
Yeah, we did. Frank covered most of it. The Spirit Rock, big conversation there. Yeah, project, for the update. We did have another conversation around memorials, sort of best way to be respectful of memorials, what we do with that, trees, rocks, plaques, ashes, et cetera. We decided to take that out of policy for discussion about, memorials stuff. Do all that policy.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah.
The policy talked about it.
No.
And when we continue to work through it, to honor the requests of people who run down to the building administration, so just talking to people who are interested, to start understanding what the plan is or what, what the proposal will be. So that way we're honoring that request as well as we continue to look at policy. Sorry about
Awesome.
Right,
that.
we didn't, Alex covered policy, we ran out of time, didn't get to it, and we certainly didn't want to be insensitive to the requests. So we just asked Frank to move ahead with the requests at hand while we still work through the policy.
Mr.
See them
Ravenzi
here,
had those
keep holding
requests.
them up. Yeah.
Grandfather.
Cool. We talked a bit about athletic fields, specifically the size of certain athletic fields. The football field has two large jump pits, I guess, on the side. We're removing one to make more room, like road safe. And then, talking about the new transportation building, the park tank. So that was it. Any questions?
Okay, with that, policy.
Make it official for the owl. Okay, we met on May 1st. Everyone was in attendance. Paige was at Hamilton. So she wasn't at home, but she said she would send any information she wanted our way. She was always free to comment at any time. So let me see here. We finalized the language for the 8121.1 and the regulation for opioid overdose prevention. That is ready tonight for the first read. We discussed policy 6690 audit committee, which we kind of stumbled upon because it was listed as a cross-reference on one of our policies, but we actually didn't have the policy. So we decided to look at NISBA's recommended policy, and we kind of thought it wouldn't hurt to have. So we went through NISBA's recommended 6690 audit committee. Let me see. We finalized it for a first read tonight. Just making sure I'm not making that up. Yeah, okay. And we went through policy 6660, independent external audit, which is where the 6690 was cross-referenced by mistake. We just fixed a few typos, and that is ready for tonight for a second read and a vote. We finally got through policy 5550, student privacy, which is new to Voorheesville, and it is a required policy. And we went through all the NISBA updates, and literally an update came out the day after we created our agenda, but we incorporated it. We think NISBA's stalking us. And we did actually get through the language with all the new NISBA updates, and it is ready tonight for a first read. We went through 8635, the exhibit and the regulation, which is information and data privacy. And NISBA had updates on both of those.